So every once in a while we comment on videos that we see online, and Watch Mojo, and this seems to be kind of a trend lately.
This is why Nintendo is doing their classic NES edition. This is the mainstream now retro games.
Right. Watch Mojo did a video on why things suck about what things sucked about retro gaming, and I'm not entirely opposed by it, but it does seem to be a trend or a bandwagon thing, and I do think some rose-tinted glasses need to be knocked off a little bit, but there are some things I agreed with in this video, and there were definitely some things that I thought were a little suspect.
It's a general. Watch Mojo does stuff like that. The top 10s or the best list. It's such clickbait, but it works.
So some of the things were like,
the commercials suck.
The commercials suck.
Which I love, by the way.
Yeah, I loved them too, but I mean they make some good points. But the dial-in numbers, the lack of immediate information at your fingertips. My problem with parts of this video really were that it was the things around retro games that at the time, basically the limits of our other technology that they thought sucked.
Yeah, early 3D was, I thought, amazing at the time to play Star Fox.
Sure, early 3D was another one, but I mean, I feel like Star Fox is a bad example because Nintendo knew how to optimize it just right to keep that game playable, because I do still think that Star Fox is playable. But there were some...
They said copyright protection sucks. We dealt with it fine.
Yeah.
There was ways you can Xerox manuals, you can deal with it.
Yeah, or you just waited for that ingenious person to crack a copy, and then you've got the cracked copy.
These weren't things at the time that sucked, I think. They're looking back at
it's in retrospect that this sucks. Now, there is one thing that I always hated back then, I hate to this day, and I think they hit right on the head, which is funny because of how much I was nonplussed or disagreeing with one other things, but I fucking hated it when you bought a game that was based on an arcade game and they kept all the fucking quarter-sucking mechanics in it. And it's to this day the reason why I think Gauntlet is a piece of fucking shit.
On the NES?
Yes.
Really? I think I can get fairly far by
sure,
myself.
And you can if you get good enough, but all of that stuff like I understand difficulty. I understand you have to extend the nature of the game, but things like Gauntlet, where your health just keeps dropping so that you keep pumping quarters into it in the arcade because your character needs food. No, Atari needs your money. I fucking hate shit like that.
Yeah, but then people would be pissed that it wasn't a real arcade port. I mean, back then...
Would they have been? Because I know lots of people back then who were like, yeah, this is fun, but it's really stupid that your health just keeps draining for no reason.
Okay, I see that point. It's not incredibly fast, but it does drain. But what about, I think it keeps a challenge, though, of like beat 'em ups if they don't have unlimited continues. Like they use an example, I think they use like Golden Axe. Like, do you need unlimited continues for a beat 'em up? You want to get good at it, otherwise there's no challenge to it.
No, you don't, but you know what? Shooters, like my favorite genre, generally have unlimited continues. You know what you do? You use something called fucking self-restraint. Or you're not allowed to input a high score unless you use less than a certain number of continues. I mean, there was no reason... I understand that they want to increase the longevity of the game, but games like Turtles 2 on the NES, which I have beaten with a friend in the allotted continues, it's nightmarish, and I don't necessarily... I really felt like a lot of the trappings and quarter-sucking things from arcade games definitely did not need to carry over.
There was one that I think they got right about games coming out having glitches or bugs and you can't update them. That was, to me, fair.
I thought cartridge-based games were completely without bugs.
Bug-free, Ian!
Bug-free! Because absolutely. Okay.
We're going to make them bug-free, and that's it.
And that's it. You just say it. You just say the fucking word.
Yeah, but there wasn't that many that broke the games.
No, and a lot of the bugs that they showed were ones that were not super common, or you had to go out of your way to make them happen. It's not like games like Donkey Kong Country break all over the fucking place. They don't. Sure. Nintendo wouldn't release it.
So, to me, there was two major faux pas in this video. One that they should have put in and one that they didn't. How could you put things that sucked and not put in about how you blow on NES cartridges to get them worked? Which is probably one of the biggest things that sucked.
Which you shouldn't have done, but at least cartridges needed to be cleaned, and that was the worst part. I'm surprised they didn't put that in.
Nintendo more than anything else, but I'm shocked that wasn't in there.
Well, I'm shocked. I would have been pissed if it was in there because it still would have been inaccurate information. But I'm surprised that there wasn't some I guess to agree with you to a point, I'm surprised there wasn't some mention of how unreliable the Nintendo cartridge slot was.
Yeah, or in general, how they can get dirty. The other two things were they said that, oh, you can't save your games. Well, they said, well, okay, Zelda you could.
I was gonna say they did mention Zelda.
But how long does the battery last? The batteries last pretty fucking long. Some of them still are working now.
We sell Nintendo games all the time with original batteries, and they don't come back to us. I still have my mom's save game on Dragon Warrior 1.
So that to me was total horseshit. They got to make the list fun. But PC doesn't have games that save. That's one of the reasons you bought PC games, because they all fucking saved. Going back to the early goddamn 80s, they saved.
Yep.
So that was ridiculous. But the one thing that they try to hammer on is, well, you don't know if games suck. Never mind that there are. Okay. You didn't know Nintendo Power wasn't going to bash a game in their issue, but they did kind of subtly mention that, okay, they did rate the games a little bit. But you know what? We had, in the 80s, 90s, we had mom and pop rental stores. We had Blockbuster. I rented 10 more times games that were ever purchased for me. So that was how you tried games out.
Yeah.
That's how you tried a game for whatever, $3 to rent a game for the weekend, and if it sucked, no harm done, because you gave it back to them and you're not out the $50.
Right. And once again, I think this is a problem with them looking back on this now. Yeah, we have all the information on our fingertips, but back then we didn't. But there were still decent ways to learn if a game sucked. Word of mouth. Someone who
classmates.
Classmates. Someone who already got burned on it.
You went to your friend's house and he usually had 10 games you didn't have. You played them, or hell, I traded and borrowed games sometimes.
Oh yeah, that
was fun.
I always laugh that was something that somehow got lost in the cartridge era.
Yeah.
Or at least with the increasing complexity of games, was no one traded or borrowed games anymore because you can't get a good sense of modern games overnight anymore.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I probably miss the most about gaming, is that it was more of a communal, okay, it's community online, but there's something different about gathering with people together. It's like, oh, this game, oh, this stinks, or let's try this out. And for the first time, you're going over to your friend's house to play it and see what this game is. Oh, Top Gun? Well, that's based on the movie. Let's see what this game is like. Versus, to me, that's magical to me. And while, yes, that could be rose-tinted glasses, to me, that's something they missed out on. The whole way how to explain a game to someone else that they never played it before.
But they had to do this in 10 minutes, and they had to get people to click on it.
And it worked, because we're fucking talking about it now.